Thanks for joining me this evening. I'm Meredith Jones, and before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about myself and how the format of the web clinic is going to go tonight. I am a small business operational consultant and serial entrepreneur. As a serial entrepreneur, I've noticed a common theme among a lot of small businesses, which is they aren't preparing for growth by putting in the structures they need to support their new demands on the business. So it means they often don't grow. What I do as an operational consultant is put in structures such as processes, procedures, and technology so the business can operate and grow more effectively, efficiently, and profitably. Why do I do seminars? I know as a small business owner myself that we are all busy and none of us have time to reinvent the wheel. That's why I've created monthly webinars that will give you tangible ways to make your business and lives more efficient and effective. During the webinar, you have the ability to actually send me questions and I will answer them as quickly as possible. To the left-hand side of your screen, you should see a question mark. And you can simply click on that and type in your question, and then I will answer it on air as soon as I have a place to do that. Now onto the topic for tonight, how to save your sanity and increase your performance with a powerful to-do list. My intention is that you leave this webinar empowered with knowledge and tools that transform your relationship with your to-do list and task management system. We'll first start off talking about what a to-do list is. Many people have one, and I'm going to show some examples of what many people's to-do lists look like. Here's a to-do list. Often looks like that, one big long list of items to do. However, a to-do list is really a capture tool to hold information and manage it so that you don't forget. It's actually not technically a to-do list. It's a list of things that need to be done and that you will get around to sometime. You might wonder then, how's that different from a calendar? A lot of times people view their to-do list and their calendar sort of interchangeably, but your calendar is really the real to-do list because you've committed to a time to actually do something, whatever that something is. It could be an item on your task list, or it could be a meeting or making a costume for your child's play. So your calendar is really your to-do list. It's telling you when you are going to do something. Why do we even care about making an effective to-do list? I see a lot of clients who struggle with getting things moving in their business and their personal lives. They're frustrated by their lack of forward movement. They know they need to be getting some big things done, but they aren't seeing how to make any headway. You might even know what that feels like. You feel like you can't do and juggle all the things you're committed to, like kids, business, church commitments, sports, and think that you need to take things off your plate. My question to you is, do you really need to have fewer commitments? Or could it be that you're not managing your time and to-dos effectively with a lack of planning? How do we get to this point and why does it happen? We get busy in what occurs in life instead of planning out actions that are in line with our goals and committing to a time and day to do them. For instance, you may need to make more money, yet you don't get around to doing the marketing actions that will increase your income, like sending your monthly newsletter out, making 5 calls to a client, etc. Instead, you might get tied up doing paperwork or other day-to-day operations instead. And I know it feels bad to be disappointed at the end of the day with yourself because you know you needed to get more done, but it didn't happen. And eventually you might get to the place where you're resigned and cynical, believing that to-do lists don't work and aren't worth the trouble. To have a big, full life, you must have enough going on such that you can't possibly remember and plan everything that you need to do in your head. If you believe that you can keep it all in your head, you're greatly limiting what you're capable of doing and achieving in your life. And most of all, it's limiting the experiences you can have in your life because you're limiting what you're able to commit to. For instance, maybe it's always been your dream to coach your kids' soccer team or do charity work, but your life feels too chaotic right now, and you keep thinking, I'll get to it one day when things slow down. So we've talked about all the reasons why we would want to have an effective to-do list. And now we want to talk about what are the elements that make an effective to-do list. And it has several different functions. So as we noted, it is not one long list. It's going to be separated by projects and spheres of your life that fall into your to-do list, like a business, could be personal, it could be other activities you have going on. So not one long list. The next thing is it's specific. Let's say you need to do some prospecting. Well, just to put prospecting, what kind of prospecting? Are you making cold calls? Are you going out in the field to see new people? Maybe you have on your to-do list work on a website. Well, what? That's a really big project. The next element is bigger projects are broken out into action steps that lead to the project's completion. Have you ever realized that you forgot to do something on a larger project because you didn't have a roadmap written out ahead of time? Or that you didn't really give yourself enough time to finish something because you hadn't plot out all the steps? So take, for instance, building the website. What are all the parts of that? You need a budget. You need somebody that's actually going to do the work. You need a design of the site. You need branding and content, words and pictures. All of those things go into it and are steps that you will have to do along the way. The last element is that it's electronic. You are never without the ability to access it or edit it if the need arises. If you're doing a paper to-do list, then you're constantly rewriting it, which is certainly not efficient and is really not going to help you use it effectively. Now we're going to talk about how to make a to-do list. We've talked about the elements that it should have. Now let's make it. I'm going to show you mine, and I use a program called Trello. I'm not endorsing that you should use Trello. I simply use it because it works really well for me. It is a free program, and you can also have a paid version of it. Why I like Trello is because you can see complex projects in a concise manner, and they're not all jumbled together. I have several businesses, and they're demanding of my time, and that allows me to really see what all I need to be doing in each of them separately. I'm also involved in a lot of organizations in my personal life. So as you can see right here, I have my consulting, I have my home inspection business, I have a real estate investment fund that I do some management with, and then here are my personal. So those are all broken out and clearly delineated. Now, hopefully you have some pen and paper nearby. If not, go run, grab some, because I want you to do this exercise with me. Break out the areas of your life, the big areas of your life right now, and that'll be starting the basis of how we're going to do your to-do list. And we'll take a few minutes for that. Now, if you've had a chance to make some of your big divisions in your life, the next thing we want to do is actually subdivide the areas of your business and personal life. We all know that businesses have many elements, and if you're the CEO and running the whole operation, chances are good you have to-dos in the financial area of your business, the marketing area of your business, research, all sorts of different areas. So you don't want all your to-dos in just one jumbled list. Now we want to subdivide it. I'm going to show you my personal area. So I'm going to go to the overview of that. And all of these are major things I have going on in my personal life. I am on the board of my high school band alumni association, so it has its own list. I am recently engaged, so there'll be a wedding to plan. I have a family reunion coming up. I have some home improvement things and other personal items. So they're all separated, so they're easily seen and worked on. So now take a minute and make one of your major categories, make some subcategories for it. Okay, hopefully you had a chance to get in some subcategories. Now that you made some subcategories, choose one of them, and we're going to put in some to-dos that are actually on your current to-do list. Or if you don't use a list, put down some items that you know need to be done. While we're looking at my screen, let's go first and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I have home improvement to-dos. So on my list, I have 3 major ones right now. I want to remove the screens from windows and clean the windows. I want to paint a dresser and a wine rack, and I want to spray in outdoor cushions with water protectant. For me, I've put them in order of importance, and I've actually given this one a date and a time in which I will do it. So one of the questions I had that came in is, how small does the to-do need to be? Well, I guess that's personal. I mean, I don't know that there's a certain size. I mean, if you need to send an email, I don't know that you need to make a to-do for it. These are generally, to me, like larger items, far as like you're doing something. Okay, so you have let's say you have, you want to update your database. Well, what does that entail? Maybe you need to carve out an hour to go through and sort and qualify. So you don't need to do all of that. Maybe you just need to put 1 hour CRM database. There's not really a standard way that says, okay, what's too small or too big. I guess it's going to be something that you start to play around with and realize if it's too small and you're getting more detailed and just in the weeds with it. So take a few minutes and put in some to-dos in one of your subcategories. Okay, so now we have items written down. And now we're going to talk about, well, how do we prioritize them and how do you see the priorities? So I'm going to show you the area of my home inspection business where I have a client appreciation party taking place tomorrow. This is an example of where I started out with the end in mind and then built backwards. So the first things I had to do this week were get items together for party favor bags and send out a party reminder. Also, yesterday I had to order food, so that's actually done. And I can take that and put it over here in the done area. Now we've moved on, and you can see that the next logical items are already there. And in fact, I've put the dates in. So today on my calendar, I had an appointment with myself to put together party favors and also to check on my RSVPs. The last thing, because I didn't want to forget, remember we're living big lives and this whole exercise is to help us not forget. I wanted to make a to-do so that I would remember to send pictures and a follow-up email to the attendees and invitees. So basically I'm going to send them a nice little, little picture email after the party. Well, if I didn't write that down, there's a really good chance I would forget to do that. And then I would realize later, oh crap, I wish I had done that. So this is exactly why you have a to-do list built out with steps. Another reason you want to have an electronic to-do list is that things may change. And like I said, you don't want to have to be changing on paper every other day. Now, maybe you've noticed that you have some to-dos that have no due date. Let's go and see mine. So in mine, some of them still don't have a to-do date. However, because I'm addressing my to-do list daily, that will be gotten to as soon as I finish up the ones that I had previously going. So Don't all have to have to-do dates. However, if you notice something sitting there on your to-do list for a while and it's bugging you, then I challenge you to go ahead and give yourself a date. Make it a promise to yourself and accountability that you will complete that to-do by that date. And one way to manage this, if you weren't on my webinar last month or you didn't hear it, the way I manage this one step further is that my to-dos, when I've committed a time, they actually go on my calendar. So what I want to do right now is take a second and swap and show you my calendar. So Trello actually does sync with iCal. So what's great about it is when I put a to-do in and give it a date, it goes automatically to my iCal at the time that I said that I wanted it. So my calendar is very colorful. And what you'll see, everything in red are actually to-dos. Don't worry about the rest of the colors. That was from that would be from the last webinar. So right now, all it's important to know is all of the reds, those are my to-dos. That's what my calendar actually looks like. So when I have a time block, I actually know what I'm gonna do. I don't have to stop and think every day, well, what should I be doing right now? Or what could I be doing right now? You know, often large projects are really intimidating, and I know I've tended to procrastinate about them in the future. And having broken down large projects or events has really helped me to get moving. Do you ever notice that you procrastinate? Often it's because we haven't come up with a system for moving our projects forward. We think that we need to set aside like 3 or 4 hours to do something instead of breaking it down. This is where your to-do list comes in. Now we're going to do an exercise together where I want you to take a medium-sized, doesn't have to be a really, really large project. Take a medium-sized project that you've been meaning to do, but you haven't. Start by giving it a date by which it'll be complete. And then you'll go back and start at the beginning and fill in all the steps that you will need to have in order for it to be completed. So hopefully you were able to do that. Did you notice that maybe you didn't have enough time, or that there were more steps than you originally thought that there were? And that might benefit you to have it written out and then start putting it in your calendar and when you're actually going to do those certain things. So how do you manage an effective to-do list? Schedule yourself about 15 minutes of planning time at the end of every day so that you can quickly look over your to-do list. Plug it in for your calendar for the next day and make any adjustments that you need to if anything came up. This allows you to also stay pretty familiar with what's on your list. You saw I have quite a bit on there, but really it doesn't take me much time because I go through it at least once a day, and then I don't have to look at it anymore. I put it in my calendar. And if you're having to consult your to-do list more than 1 to 2 times a day, then you really haven't planned out your day. By transferring your to-dos for the next day into your calendar, that should be all the roadmap that you need. So there again, I'm going to show you my calendar so that you can really see that I am giving myself a roadmap for during those time blocks. This is what I'll be doing. So like today, I'll just share. Today I worked on my blog. From 9 to 10, I worked on the webinar. Later, I wrote some thank you notes. I came back and I was in the office and I needed to put together my party favors for my party tomorrow. Then during the time I usually do emails, I was following up on invites, and I later was checking on some financials for myself. So I didn't have to waste time today thinking about what it is I would be doing. And tomorrow is already largely planned out. As you can see, I'll work on my blog again. I'll be sending out you guys a video of this webinar. I have some items I've got to call about for my party. And then the rest of the day is really devoted to my party. So it's super simple, and a lot of times we think it has to be complicated or take a lot of time, but really and truly it doesn't. So do I think it's worth your time? Absolutely, but it's like anything else, you're building skills and habits around the performance you want to get out of your work and business life. A great way for you to get started would be for you to take one small area of your life and work on it as we did tonight. So take specifically, maybe in marketing, you're wanting to get on your marketing game a little bit more. So in your business area, your subcategory is going to be marketing. Now you're going to make your to-dos in that category. And then you're going to start adding them to your calendar. And that becomes a daily practice. And once you do that, then add another, and so on. And it really becomes truly easy to manage, and you'll be amazed at how much more you get done and get out of the whirlwind that often kind of takes us out of our element. Please feel free to send questions in anytime. And I just want to let you know that there is some technology that I'll mention that would be worth you checking out. Here again, I'm not endorsing anything. It's just I'm fairly familiar with a lot of different programs based on from having looked for myself or for my clients. Obviously, I like Trello. Like I said, there's a free and business version. It connects to all major calendar systems. The calendar syncs with your to-do cards. It's an easy-to-see layout for multi-step projects. You can also offer collaborations, so you can ask somebody to join a certain card. So if you have employees or a spouse, you can actually get them on board and accountable as well and collaborate. It also has an app, so it should work phone, tablet, you name it, and it's accessible. There is also a program called Todoist. I'll spell that. That's Todoist. It's a free and paid version. It also allows you to separate out a business and personal to-do list. However, one thing it doesn't do that Trello does is it doesn't allow you to make checklists within each to-do, which is great because sometimes one to-do may have a few things that you need to make sure all of them are done. So a checklist is really, really essential to me. And unfortunately, Todoist doesn't have that, but otherwise it's a very great program, and it also has an app. When I first went to an electronic means of a to-do list, I used Apple Reminders. I'm a Mac user and have been for a long time. So if you do that, it's great. It's free. You're able to separate out several different businesses and personal to-do lists. However, it doesn't work on an Android or a PC, and it's not going to allow you to make checklists within larger projects. So you can't really clearly delineate between large projects with multiple steps or a single to-do. And it obviously has an app for Apple products. The last one that I'll mention is also free. It's Google. It works on PC, Mac, Android, iOS, you name it. The negatives is generally just like one long list. So it's not really helping you break it down and seeing the bigger picture and the smaller picture. You can sync it to your calendar just like Trello. However, like I said, I think the drawback is that you really can't break it down enough. So we've gone through the main content tonight. If there aren't any more questions, then we'll get towards the closing. So I'll wait a couple seconds, see if I have any other questions come in. All right. So my intention was that you leave the webinar with knowledge and tools that will transform how you relate to your to-do list and task management system. I really think it's important for you because we all want to get as much out of life as possible with as little stress as possible. If you'd like more help around this subject or any other time management issues, please don't hesitate to contact me and we can set that up. There's no greater feeling than ending your day knowing that you won your day. Also, if you'd like a copy of this webinar, I'll be emailing the recording out to you in the next day or so. Please feel free to share it with others that you think will benefit for this information. Thanks for being on the Web Clinic. See you next time.